Hello and welcome back to our last bit on the Supreme Court. I had to make a few changes, obviously, to the material because there have been some changes to the court. So let's get started. So we are now living in the time of the Roberts Court, and these courts are just simply named for the Chief Justice that is presiding at the time. I don't know who started that or why that's the thing or the way it is. It's just we call it the Roberts Court. When Earl Warren was Chief Justice, we called it the Warren Court. It's just the practice. So John Roberts has been chief now since 2005. He was an appointee of Bush Jr., and he leads a much-changed court since I started doing this. Stephen Breyer, Clarence Thomas, Neil Gorsuch, Elena Kagan, Sonia Sotomayor, Samuel Alito, Brett Kavanaugh, and Amy Coney Barrett. Now, I believe, students, that you should be familiar with the faces of government officials. So you see them coming on the news or wherever, you're not like, who's that? So we're going to play a little game here. Name that justice. So to help with the game, we have my wonderful wife, Mrs. Parker.
Hello, everyone.
All right, and we're going to see if you know who these Supreme Court justices are.
Probably not.
You think you're up to it?
Sure.
You up for trying at least?
Yeah, I'll give it a shot.
All right. So who's who on the court? Who do you think? Here are your choices again. Stephen Breyer, Clarence Thomas, Neil Gorsuch.
Clarence Thomas.
That's Clarence Thomas?
Yeah.
You are correct.
If you gave me options, I could probably guess.
Now, who's that? She used to be the Solicitor General.
Can we go back so I can look at names?
Sure.
I'm going to say Elena Kagan.
You would be correct.
All right. Go back, please.
All right. That guy, what's his name?
I'm going to guess and just say Stephen Breyer.
I think you're right.
Okay.
And him, I don't need to go back for this. You should know him.
Is that Roberts?
Yep.
Okay. You're going to have to go back on that one.
All right. How about, you know her?
That's the new one, right?
I don't know. Is it?
Amy Cohen Bryant or whatever.
Amy Coney Barrett. You got it.
Okay,
you got it. What about him?
That's Brett Kavanaugh.
Yep. All right. This was a Trump appointee as well.
Oh, that I do not know.
Neil Gorsuch.
Okay.
And just for the record, students, the man in the middle there is Samuel Alito.
Okay. That's Solito or Soloto or
Sonia.
Yeah.
Sotomayor.
Yeah, there you go.
Obama
Yeah,
appointee.
I knew that was Obama appointee.
So 7 out of 9. Congratulations.
Thank you. I butchered that last name. But
The things we'll do to amuse ourselves on a Sunday evening. Thank you to my wife, who I think is still within hearing. So that's the court. That's the who's who. Coney Barrett, Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, Trump appointees. Sonia Sotomayor and Elena Kagan, Obama. So that's 5 members of 9 that have been appointed in the last 2 presidencies. All right. So here's a case study. Hamdan versus Rumsfeld. Now I have a video on here, a video link rather, that refers to him as Hamdi. It's the same thing. All right, so we have Salim Ahmed Hamdan versus Donald Rumsfeld, who was Secretary of Defense at the time in the second Bush administration. And by second, I mean Bush the younger. So he was in court against Donald Rumsfeld. His representatives, Donald Rumsfeld, wasn't sitting in the court. So Hamdan was the former chauffeur of Osama bin Laden, and he was captured by Afghani forces somewhere in the country and imprisoned by the United States military in Guantanamo Bay, which is a prison that is still open in Cuba for terrorists. So Hamdan filed something called a Writ of Habeas Corpus. It's just a document demanding that he be seen and heard in federal district court to challenge what he saw as an illegal detention. So before that could happen, though, he got a hearing from a military tribunal. And your bit of unsolicited advice for the day: if you are ever before a military tribunal, you're in trouble. Run the other way, because there's no jury in one of those. And the military tribunal designated him an enemy combatant. So a few months later, the district court granted his habeas petition and said he had to be given a hearing. He had to determine whether he was a prisoner of war under the Geneva Conventions. The Geneva Conventions are rules of war that say who's who and what action constitutes a legal use of force or an illegal use of force, and how you go about treating prisoners and illegal weapons and things like that. It's a very important document. If any of you go on to grad school or to serve in the military, you'll become familiar with this. Grad school only if you study political science. I took a class where I had to read these things. They were very informative. But the Geneva Convention, okay, so we know that, before he could be tried by a military commission. So the circuit court reversed the decision. Went to the Circuit Court of Appeals, reversed the decision. They said that the Geneva Convention could not be enforced in federal court. So the Geneva Convention, it's an international document, which it is, that's true. A bunch of countries sign on to it. And it couldn't be enforced in a federal court, and that the establishment of military tribunals had been authorized by Congress and was therefore not unconstitutional. So nothing that had happened to Mr. Hamdan was wrong. That's what the Circuit Court, of Appeals found. Now we know, since this goes on to the Supreme Court, that this gets reversed again. So, went to the Supreme Court. They had to look at a couple things. Are the rights protected by the Geneva Convention enforceable in federal court through habeas corpus petitions? So was the habeas corpus petition the way to go, first off? Was the military commission established to try Hamdan and others for alleged war crimes in the war on terror authorized by the Congress or the inherent powers of the president? So those are the two things that they needed to look at. So what do they find? They answer yes, and they answer no. So wasn't a split decision, 5-3. The late Justice John Paul Stevens held that neither an act of Congress nor the inherent powers of the executive expressly laid out or authorized any sort of military commission that was at issue in this particular case, and that absent that authorization, the commission had to comply with the ordinary laws of the United States and the laws of war, meaning, yes, the Geneva Conventions are enforceable in federal court, and no, the tribunal, the military tribunal that tried Hamdan was unconstitutional. Again, yes, they could be enforced by the Supreme Court, the Geneva Convention, along with the Statutory Uniform Code of Military Justice, another essential read, but of quite a lengthy one. Hamdan's exclusion from parts of his trial as he was taken out for parts of it that were deemed classified by the Military Commission violated both of these things, and the trial was illegal. So the late Justice Scalia, Justice Thomas, Justice Alito dissented, and John Roberts had to recuse himself. Supreme Court justices will often do this. This doesn't mean anything other than probably this, that, they worked on the case while serving in another court. So if they recuse themselves at any point, it's probably for that reason. So, again, I don't want to get YouTube copyright struck. This is a summary of the case, explained and told in a different way. I do highly suggest you watch this and not do next class period, but do Sunday. This is a fun assignment, to my mind anyway. So get this done and turned in, and that'll be all. Thank you.